Hello, and welcome to the Wellness Creator Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to actually be answering some questions that we received in YouTube comments about what to do if you are a multi-passionate entrepreneur or human. How do you sort of integrate that into your marketing or your business?
Yep, super common question. So two people asked it, so we thought let's do a whole podcast on it. So let me just give you a sense of what they're asking. So one viewer said she just started a wellness page, but she also wants to publish something about first-time mothers. And do I do that on the same Substack or a different Substack? And then a second viewer wrote, having more than one Substack is not advisable. What if I have completely different topics? So we really want to, and we've heard that over the years. So I think it's worth to sort of really diving into and understanding the motives behind it and giving you some clear ideas on how to handle it.
Yeah, and I'll also just provide the background context that we had another podcast that's sitting on hold right now called And She Spoke for years and years that was really about this idea of being multidimensional. So I think perhaps some of these questions are also, grounded in the fact that people know that we see ourselves as multidimensional, which I think also gives us some credibility in answering this question because we made a very distinct choice in how to handle this ourselves.
That is true. That is a really good point. We have 1,000 different things. I think literally 1,000 different topics that we are like, let's talk. No, it does not fit into this podcast. Let's talk. No, Jenny, it doesn't fit into this podcast. And it is that discipline and restraint that makes this successful, because otherwise it's just a confusing pot of mess for the listeners, right?
Yeah. And I think as an entrepreneur, we're kind of more like this than other people. You go and start a business because you want to go do this new thing that doesn't exist or that no one else is doing quite like you. And so you're just always we talk about it. We used to say rose colored glasses. We just see the world with all this opportunity all the time. So oh my gosh, I want to start a YouTube channel about X or Y or a Substack about A or B, every day. I have probably 5 urges a week to go start another thing. For real, even having done this for well past a decade. So just know that it's normal, to feel this need to start lots of different things or have lots of different interests that you see opportunity in.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's just bring this to really simple terms. And what are the questions? What's the core question that people who have this, I want to talk about this, this, and this, what's the core question they need to ask themselves?
What is your goal? What is the goal behind it? So you can have all those desires and interests, but how is that connected to a business or a goal for making money? And I think this is a different question. Some of us were raised in the early days of the blogosphere, and everyone had personal brands and personal blogs, and that was really normal. So when I was blogging circa 2010, 2011, 2012, it was really normal to talk about anything. Oh, I'm pregnant, I'm going to document my pregnancy, or I'm into crafts or baking or health or running marathons or whatever it is. And I'm a whole person, and my brand online and my business, and blogging was a business back then because it was ad revenue based. You could do that. That was a suitable business model. We are now in an era where that's a lot harder. I think some social media influencers can get away with that, but creator businesses, no, you have to have focus. So I think if you're I want to do this and this and this, great. Maybe you have some hobbies or a personal blog that's not a business, but if you want to make money strategically as a creator, then we've got to think through that process a little bit.
Because we've said this from the very beginning that if you're saying, yes, I want a business, I want to make a profitable business, I want to make some money, you have to be clear to your audience, and that clarity will result in revenue. If you just want to have a side Substack where you talk about whatever is on your mind and you're just kind of, it's like some creative outlet for you, then go ahead and, you can have that freedom of expression and that flexibility to jump around topics. But if you go to make a course or some kind of digital offering, the audience is going to be confused. They might find you interesting, like, oh, she talks about all these things. But if you ever change and try to sell something, I think then you're
Yeah.
in the category of confusion.
Yeah, and you just won't have enough people with that specific interest in the digital product you're creating to
Right.
make enough money from it. Because people might be following you because they love your travel vlogs or they love your recipes or whatever. And then you make a product on one of those things. And if you make a recipe book, for example, the travel vlogging audience is probably not going to buy your recipes, right? So you have to think about, like, why is someone going to read my blog post, watch my TikTok, watch my YouTube video? Like, what is in it for them? And then you have to think like 10 steps down the line, like, eventually I'm going to monetize this and make something to
Yeah.
sell them.
And I think too, there's so much when you start an idea, like you were describing, like you do 100 times a day, you're so excited and you want to like serve everybody and help everybody. But once you get going, if you've literally got 2 YouTube channels or 2 Substacks, give it 6 months and you're like, oh my God, because you've got to be creating content for both of those things, obviously, but also like promoting and marketing it. And you've just doubled your work. You've literally doubled your responsibility to get this out into the world. And I think from one of these questions, like they're definitely not thinking about that, like the amount of work. And it's easy to get excited, right?
Yeah.
But I will say too, Jenny, that we're talking for this advice is really for like early days, if you're just starting how to think this through. I do think you have some more wiggle room when you have a bigger audience, like you're well known for this thing, or you are a thought leader in this topic. And then if you want to talk about your travel to Europe or document your whatever that's not related to your business, that's fine, because people already know and understand you, and you're kind of got this sort of tangent that you've gone on, and the audience will accept that and will not get confused by that.
Yes. I think it depends. Like, if it's somehow familiar or like relevant to them in some way. I do think and have seen people who have established audiences start to take on new content that maybe is more controversial or like really sort of out there compared to what they are typically known for. And you can actually lose your audience, like lose a sizable chunk by doing that. And we saw a lot of that over the last 5 years. So I do think like that's just one little thing to put in the back of your mind, is like, just because you have the audience, like you just want to be strategic about the information that you share. And maybe it's worth it to you to be able to speak your truth, and still like the cost of losing some fans, subscribers, customers, whatever is worth it, viewers. And maybe it isn't. So like, just worth thinking
it through.
like thinking ahead. I think that for me, the answer to this whole question boils down to just like thinking ahead and not making a decision like in the moment when you feel that like spark of inspiration. And I do also want to say, Sandy, like even a personal blog or a personal TikTok or a personal YouTube channel, like a vlog, whatever, that's still work. Like, and even if you're like, I'm not even going to do this to monetize it, I just feel like I want to do it. Think about the opportunity cost of you not taking that time to invest in the thing that you do want or need to make money from, right? Like that's the other thing that we've seen a lot of in our many years in business, is like everything has an opportunity cost. Even if you're like, oh, it's fine, it's just my side gig. Well, it's not. It's maybe not fine.
Right. Yeah, I think people forget like how much work it is to build anything new, whether you're selling a course or starting a new TikTok account, whatever, or a new Substack. Like, it's so exciting. I get it. It's so exciting to start something new and you're just full of ideas, but then it kind of comes crashing down, within weeks and months of just like how much work this is. So yeah, please think about that. So we have a little decision filter that we created. So let's say your goal is to make money. Then we want you to niche down, right? 100%. No, that is not debatable. You niche down. You talk deeply about one topic. If you want to build just a personal brand and money's not on the table, then again, you have more ability to experiment and blend a couple different topics. If you really want to express these 2 areas, these 2 sides of yourself, or these 2 interests, then consider two separate spaces, but as Jenny just said, really think about how much work this is going to be, and is it sustainable for you in the long term, and think about creating a really clear editorial calendar so you know what you're doing when.
Yeah. Or if it's just like even, I really want to learn this one skill and I want to do it in public and I want to have a community around it. Maybe that's just something you're doing for 6 months and you're, capping it at the end and saying, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm going to learn woodworking and I'm going to document that journey on Substack or YouTube or whatever. And like, that's the goal. And whatever, I'm planning on it ending in 6 months. And this is my like project that has this container. Like, I think that that's another way to kind of give yourself a playground without the stress of like, what the heck, this is going to just go on and on forever. And I'm committed to it. And it also sets that expectation for your audience, right? I think you have a chance to build a real community for a specific thing for a specific period of time.
And the other thing is, I know we're saying keep it separate, but there is maybe an option where you can blend. Like if you want to do like this lady that asked us about a Substack on wellness, but then she wants to talk about first-time mothers. Well, maybe that is a blend that works because they do overlap. First-time mothers do need wellness, but it's that's what we're talking about, niche down. Like take your expertise and interest in a side topic, and like the worst thing to do, in my opinion, is to write a wellness blog. Like nobody's gonna read that.
Content.
Right. But if you do wellness plus first time mothers, now you've got a very specific audience who will see themselves in your writing and your message. And then, that becomes different. So I just want to distinguish that like maybe you can blend and that's your like special sauce. Versus having two separate things.
Yeah, I think that that's so true. And especially in an age of AI where ChatGPT or other AI tools are going to beat you at anything general. Like they're going to be able to answer or create content around general topics better than any of us at this point. Like they already can. So like your real gift is specificity and like sort of going down wormholes that are like super, super interesting to this tiny subset of people in the world. Like that is where the money is, right? So when Sandy's saying niche down, when you're saying that, Sandy, like I just want people to know like the further down the wormhole, the more specific you can be with your content, like the more true excited fans you're going to have for that content, because like thank goodness someone is finally making something about like hydrangeas growing in Alaska. Like thank goodness, because like I've waited my whole life for this, right? Like that's what you want to get, is that like that's not a common thing they're going to see from anyone else.
Correct. Yes.
Cindy, what do you recommend for someone when they're just like really at the place where they're in this decision process, they're thinking about starting a new business and they've got to like pick a path?
Pick that path, pick that lane, stick to it, build an audience with that topic, get their trust, set yourself up as a thought leader, grow your audience, and then you're going to have a way to make money, and then you can veer off that later once your audience is larger.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, we teach a specific tactic for how to do that called sleuthing that's available in the online courses and coaching products that we've created over the last 12 years. So for those of you who are listening to this, who are established clients and, listeners of ours, how we teach you how to kind of hone in on that topic to begin with. The other thing that we recommend is like, if you have an audience already, generally, like say you've been blogging about, I don't know, going through your yoga teacher training programs and your advanced training programs, and you're sort of like a few years into your teaching career and you've built a bit of an audience on, say, Instagram, like you can then go to those people and, post a survey or a poll, which is sort of building on sleuthing also, to get feedback on like what kind of content they want more of, or like what direction you should take that work moving forward. Say you're like evolving personally into the next phase of your business or your own work. Like there, you don't have to decide alone, I think
Mhm.
is the key to this. And maybe you shouldn't in most cases for a business decide
Mhm.
alone in a vacuum. Like
Yeah.
we really want this to be sort of a collaborative process. And then that again takes the pressure off of you to know
Yeah,
all the
collaborative
answers.
with your audience. And we've done this in live coaching programs that we've run
Yeah.
in the past. And people who do this and do have an audience or have a, a decent sized list and they go and ask, the answer back is always like way simpler, way easier than that teacher ever thought. They were just complicated and advanced. And it's like, I just need time with you. I just need like, I'd love an hour a week to be able to ask my questions. Like it always shocked our clients doing this kind of work about, oh, that's all they want. Oh, I can do that,
Yeah.
But if you do it by yourself, guaranteed you'll make it way more
You'll
complicated than it needs to
overcomplicate.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just our human brains thinking that we need to make
Yes.
things harder than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to wrap this up, so don't overthink it, right? What is that first thing that you want to do? What's that first decision? Go with that. You can always change later.
Yeah. Yep. And you also don't need to monetize everything that you
Mm-hmm.
care
Yeah.
about. And in fact, like if you're like, I am all in on this hobby and I'm committed and I really want to do this in public and build community around it, like you also don't have to decide right now. Like you can go spend a couple years building a platform around something that you're super passionate about and then decide if you want to like take the time and the energy to monetize it into something or not. Like I just think
Mm-hmm.
most people who are probably listening to this are really looking for ways to make money. And so we just like, don't do that if you need money right now. Like, I guess, like, like be strategic with your time and your energy. And like that's just the one thing. I think so many people who we've coached and taught and interacted with who run programs and teach on our platform over the years, like they don't want to give anything up. And
Mm-hmm.
the truth is, like the kind of hard truth is that when you are starting a new business, that's like raising a newborn. Like you kind of have to put some other things on the back burner while you get that business off the ground. So like that's we're saying all these things like, oh yeah, go do this and don't monetize it. But like the truth is if you're looking to make money, which I know the economy is a little wobbly right now, like don't listen to that advice, okay? Like go strategically pick, like find something that your audience needs and build content around that and then monetize that. Like do that.
Yeah. And don't hold on to this perfection. Like, this is what I've decided. This is what I'm doing. You can just soft launch it, and see how
Yeah.
it lands and just give yourself the grace to be like, okay, that wasn't quite right. Or I've got to make these tweaks. Like you can change it and you can turn it off if you need to,
Yeah.
right? So just one topic, launch something, test it, and then
Mhm.
make new decisions from there.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, I feel like we're kind of a broken record on this. We've been saying this over and over, but
Yeah.
I think part of it is that, this is counterintuitive for a lot of people. So that's why we have to say it over and over. And we have to say it to ourselves even.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
this is just like, trust us. We've made a lot of money in business in the last decade plus, and we've helped other people make a lot of money in business. Like we've seen what works and where people kind of fail and burn out. And like this tactic just
Mhm.
is what we recommend because it's what works.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So for any of the listeners out there, if you have a story where you've started two businesses on two different topics, or you've had different interests with two YouTube channels or Substacks, share it with us. We'd love to hear how it went, what decisions you had to make, or maybe it worked. Maybe it worked fine. We'd love to hear that too. So drop us a note on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. We are everywhere. We'll see it.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll
Thanks.
see you next time. Thanks,
Bye.
Sandy.